Evolutionary Underground episode 52 is coming your way. Today we're going to go over our top five competitors for Mr. Olympia 2025 based on pictures by Geneza Pharma. So this is going to be a really fun one. We're going to go over what the Mr. Olympia competition is. We're going to talk about last year's Mr. Olympia summary to give you an idea of what happened last year and to kind of go over it again before we get into previewing the 2025 Mr. Olympia. Mobster and I were also going to discuss the top five guys who we think will do great. We're going to go over really the top 10. And then from there, we're kind of going to dial in which guys have the best chance of finishing top five. We're also going to talk about Geneza Pharma quality. Very, very important. Before we get to this, though, let me remind everyone we are on Apple, we are on Spotify. Come on and give us some love on the different platforms. We are all over many platforms now. Give us reviews, write comments, likes, sub, all that good stuff. That helps the algorithms pick up our podcast and keeps us going. So let's get into it. Let me start out a little bit about what is the Mr. Olympia competition for those of you who don't know a little bit about the history. And the Mr. Olympia, look, it's a title given to the winner of the yearly professional men's bodybuilding contest and open division. It's sanctioned by the IFBB Professional League. 1965 was when Joe Weider founded the competition as a way for bodybuilders to show what they got on stage and win prize money. He was a very important ambassador to bodybuilding, and he dominated magazines throughout the 80s. A lot of the stuff that we have, gotten used to over the years, he was responsible for. Even things like protein powder, for example. He's the one who really masterminded all this stuff. So he's a huge uh, bridge and ambassador to bodybuilding throughout. Bodybuilding and the Mr. Olympia would not be existing today or anywhere without him. The very first winner was Larry Scott, and this was back in 1965. And he took home a whopping $1,000 for winning it. So since then, look, the competition has gone through a lot of ups and downs. It's been through some controversies. It's been through apathy. But in recent years, it's grown into a huge competition with tons of sponsors, and the prize money is now 600 times higher than it was back in 1965. So the bodybuilders are also not just competing for the top prizes, but they're also going to open themselves up to a massive amount of sponsorship opportunities, which is going to push their yearly income over $1 million. So it's big. It's not just the prize money that you win. It's the endorsements, it's everything else that comes with it. It's the social media exposure. All of that really goes a long way. And bodybuilding has grown amazingly. And it's become a worldwide thing. And we're going to go over these competitors and show you there's so many competitors from so many different countries now. And that helps grow the sport. It's growing like wildfire in the Middle East, thanks to Big Ramy, and it's growing in West Asia, the Persian, in Iran because of Hadi. And the more we see competitors from different countries, we're seeing competitors from Brazil coming on. The more it grows, in my opinion, it's going to grow quite a bit. You're going to see it grow in South America. You're going to see it grow more in the Middle East and in Asia, and you're going to see it continue to grow. So it's not just an American thing. It's not just a European thing anymore. It's growing to all kinds of countries, and a lot of people look up to these guys and they want to be like that. I can remember going to Gold's Gym 20 years ago, and you look at the wall, and they had the pioneers of bodybuilding. You could go back and see from Charles Atlas, even before that, Mobster. I mean, guys, even before Charles Atlas came around, and just seeing the different pioneers. And you go in there and you look at that wall, and you'd be so inspired to want to be like them. So this is happening, and I think a lot of people too, when someone from their country wins Mr. Olympia, it gives them a lot of pride, and they also want to get into it, and they find bodybuilding as something. The nice thing about bodybuilding is anybody can do it. It's not like basketball where you have to be 6 foot tall, to even stand a chance on a basketball court. And or it's not like another sport where you have to have, like tennis, where you have to have some type of skill to be able to hit the ball, or a pool or something like that. This is something where anybody can do no matter where you're at. And I think that's the appeal to bodybuilding. So talk a little bit about more, Monster, about the history of the Mr. Olympia and where
Yeah,
it is now compared to where it used to be.
there's an argument to be made, and I believe this has actually been tested. You talk about, for example, the man in the street, and weirdly, the Mr. Universe as a title is the one that they're probably more likely to recognize. But if you have any, and I mean any interest in bodybuilding whatsoever, and you also talk about, for example, the most famous winner ever, which would still have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you said he was a Mr. Universe and a Mr. Olympia, people would kind of know that it was the zenith of the sport. They would know that it is the be all and end all. You have American football, there's a certain weekend that's famous every single fucking year, Steve, and people know that that is the zenith of American football.
Yeah,
There are certain
Super Bowl, yeah.
Super Bowl. I couldn't think of it, but Super Bowl, absolutely. I don't have to follow the sport, and I know that that is the be all and end all when it comes to American football in the professional leagues. That is the game. That's the one you want to win. Those are the rings you want to get. That's the title you want to have on your CV. The World Heavyweight Championships, undisputed, would be a similar situation, arguably, when Joe Weider put the Mr. Olympia together. And of course, there's an argument to be made about him wanting to have those athletes working for him in his magazines. Instead of pushing equipment, he started pushing protein because protein could be sold every month, which you can only send why not you can only ever sell one barbell or one bench or whatever. Yeah, so he wanted one competition to be the pinnacle, the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. He wanted you could win the amateur, you could win the Pro Miss Universe, you could win this multiple times, you could win the Mr. America, but you can only win it once at that particular time. I think those rules still stand. Certain other competitions that fell out of favour but were big at the time. And he said, no, 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 let's have a competition where all these different, ironically, Steve, different organisations, which is a kind of weird thing with the IFBB, but we'll get to that in another show because that changed. Have all these different champions from all these different federations, from all these different organizations from different countries come together in one place and compete on the same stage and have it be the be all and end all. So even now, with the history of the sport that it is, and we're talking about the prize money in a little while, even with the rise and rise and rise of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Arnold Classic, arguably the next level down is still considered thus. There's been some competition with the prize money for the last couple of years, which, as I say, we'll talk about. But it's one of those things. I think even if the money was less for the Mr. Olympia, in the athlete's mind, you have reached the zenith, the pinnacle of the sport if you win the Mr. Olympia. And I would argue that that filters down into the other classifications in the other events that take place, whether it's a wheelchair, Mr. Olympia, fitness, figure, physique, classic, whatever class that you're competing in. And there's some argument to be made for having too many classes and so on. You are still considered to be at the peak of your sport if you complete in and win any of those classes at the Mr. Olympia. But again, even with the growth of the classic, growth of other classes within bodybuilding, for various reasons, possibly, as Steve said, because not only can you go to the gym and train and say that you're a bodybuilder, it's easier, arguably, to achieve a peak level in some of the other classes. The open class is still the foundation stone, still the core of what makes the Mr. Olympia the Mr. Olympia. When you say the Mr. Olympia, and it's just weird, Steve. It's like being a pro, but not really being a pro. You and I could win a class at the Mr. Olympia, but it's not the open. And people will say that I am the Mr. Olympia. And you go, yes, but obviously you're not the Mr. Olympia. So it's a bit of a head fuck for those people. So it is. I mean, what's the other thing, Steve? Isn't it? We're still not even up to 20 winners ever from 1965 to 2025. I think we're at like 18 and 19 people ever have been Mr. Olympia. The only thing, and we're going to talk about qualification as well in a moment here, The last couple of years, the last 4 years, 5 years, we've started to see arguably a much greater chance of other people winning because previously, Arnold's a good example, 6 times in a row, then won a seventh, disputed that particular one. Dorian Yates, 6 times. Ramy, I believe, off the top of my head, twice. Haddy, once. Derek, once. And so on, right? So you're starting to see Samson so far has won. So it's that thing of previously you could have Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney 8 each. The idea that you can have an undisputed, no one could get you out of thing if you'd won. It was you had to knock the champion out thing. That's a ring that people were saying in these kind of shows, these kind of podcasts, radio shows, and TV shows for years. That was very much a sort of a thing that the experts, the gurus, people like us talking like this would say. The last 4 or 5 years, that's not been the case. The turnover is good, and arguably there are reasons for this. The new qualification rules coming up, the ones that are in part this year and the different ones again for next year, arguably make it more interesting, far less likely, far more competitive. And if you do win 2 or 3, then you really, really are doing arguably a better job of being a Mr. Olympia. I think sometimes, and we can talk about this with some of these people that we're going to discuss these in momentarily, there's an argument to be made for, and I've won multiple British championships, and I've had years between me winning European championships, the 2 times that I've won. There's an argument to be made that you work your fucking arse off to become a champion and then kind of get lazy, maybe, at not working quite as hard as you did to become the champion once you're the champion. And it's only those people behind you, the second and the third and the fourth places, that are still fucking hungry, that will grind. They're the ones that are still trying to kill it. So there's an argument also to be made sometimes being successful, meaning, as Steve said, you get those sponsorship, you get the opportunities presented to you. It actually means it's that much harder to keep your foot down and push hard and be obsessed and driven to become the champion because you are the champion, because opportunities have presented themselves. If you're opening a supermarket, Steve, or promoting a brand, you're not in the gym grinding. You're not out there doing your 5 a.m. cardio. You're not fucking as hungry. So, and this happens a lot with a lot of sports. Boxing is a good example again. It's very rare to see people that are driven and obsessed and focused as the guy in second and third place, the one who wants to be a champion. So there's
I
a thing
want
for that. It's nice to have that turnover, keep people hungry.
I wonder if it has something to do too to health reasons, because to be
Yes,
dominant for years,
yes,
the
yes,
way it's become chemical warfare and the way it's
yeah.
become the high volume training that we see today,
Mm.
not like it was in the 70s or 80s,
Well, let me
So
jump in again, Steve. Here, and just as an example, some of the people that we're going to discuss today, and this includes former Mr. Olympia winners, there's an argument to be made again for exactly what you said. If, for example, I'm just using a throwing away idea here. If, for example, we talked about top professional PED consumption, 5 grams of this, IUs of that, and so on and so forth. Guessing, we've had literally people who are professional bodybuilders telling us what they're using, and so on. And you do that to reach the zenith of your sport. You roll the dice out, you take a risk with your health, and you reach the zenith. Can you keep doing that with the peptides, with the SARMs, with the different kinds of drugs just to keep you calm and chilled between to help you with your recovery? Never mind just the anabolic products to build you up, get you strong as possible. We've got on our forums amateur bodybuilders that have not won their pro cards, taken all manner of different kinds of products just to allow them to be focused, just to allow them to recover, just to allow them to deal with stress, as well as the obvious performance enhancement type products. And as we talked about people in IT in Silicon Valley using certain medications to allow them to be creative and so on. And this is not just in bodybuilding, but everywhere else.
So if you were to keep up doing, like Big Ramy, he won it 2 years in a row. If you were to keep
Yeah,
doing if he was to keep doing what he was doing, training all year without breaks. They didn't do that in the 70s. In the 70s, they took breaks in all sports.
Oh, for
Uh,
months, yeah.
you had bodybuilders were painting houses in the off season. You had people playing in the NFL, working construction jobs in the off season. They show
Yeah.
up to training camp out of
Yes.
shape, and they'd spend 3 weeks in mini camp and training camp getting back into shape. They were smoking and stuff. It's something like that
Ramy's a
today.
good example,
Yeah.
Steve. He was working as a fisherman with the family. Then he was a gym instructor, oxygen. And in fact, arguably, he's a great example. Him and Hadi are great examples of success, almost meaning they can't push as hard as they did before. You mentioned something in the the introduction to the show when you said about the opportunities that present themselves. I believe it was Big Ramy arriving back in Egypt, getting off the plane, and was hundreds of porters at the airport. They had a bus that they covered with a wrap. So Big Ramy, Mr Olympia, was wrapped around a double-decker tour bus. There were 15, 20, 30 cars going down the freeway, the motorway towards wherever the fuck he lives in Egypt, Cairo, I'm guessing. Tooting their horns, waving flags, setting off fireworks. There was a huge, he met the president, he met hundreds of people, he was doing TV interviews in a way that we've never seen, arguably, for example, in the US. Now, imagine that these opportunities just from Egypt, just for Big Ramy, are there almost every day. You could probably be doing 2 or 3 chat shows, coffee table type shows with the lady presenters for Egyptian television, opening supermarkets, being sponsored by a company that makes suits for the Egyptian population, whoever, as opposed to winning the Mr Olympia, getting your five, six, $700,000, whatever it is you're going to win, getting a supplement company contract like we would see in the US, and then maybe, as we see now, even with Samson Dwelder as an example, doing seminars, getting paid to go to gyms and talk about bodybuilding, which is what we would call a more traditional thing. So in certain countries, you mentioned South America with Brazil, Egypt, Iran with Hadi, the opportunity there is on another fucking level. But it also means you are not able to. When I trained my ass off to do what I was doing back in the day, I've described this before, Steve. I would train here, just when I came here, but prior to that, in a warehouse gym across the road from where I lived. And my focus for certain competitions was just that. There was nothing else going on. I would do a little bit of business we were doing, deal with the day-to-day shit, and the rest was all training. Food was what it was. Training was what it was. I programmed everything in, and all I had to do was do my 16 weeks, make sure I was training harder than anybody else, and win. I wasn't working a traditional job. I didn't have these opportunities being thrown at me every 5 minutes to make loads of money. So it was much easier for me to live like a man in a cave and come out and kick ass, take your name, get my fucking trophy, and have a great time. So yeah, look, it's good. The sport has grown, the business has grown, the money has grown, and it's becoming more like other sports in that regards. But let's move on, like you say.
All right, so let's talk about before we get into previewing the 2025 Mr. Olympia. We talked about some of the competitors already. We're going to dive deep into that. Let's talk about what happened last year so we can kind of transition into this year. And last year, Samson Duada, your countryman mobster, won the 60th ever Mr. Olympia Men's Open, took down a nice prize of $600,000. Took place in Las Vegas after being in Orlando the prior year. So let's go over what happened. First place was Samson, 600,000 from the UK. He got 14 points. Second place was Hadi Chupan from Iran, $250,000 prize. He had 17 points, so it was very, very close, 3 point difference. And I'll let you kind of go over the summary mobster when I'm finished this. Third place was Derek Lunsford. $100,000 is what he took down. USA, 30 points, so he was a solid third place. Fourth was Martin Fitzwater. I know you're high on him, possibly for this year mobster. $40,000 USA, 43 points. And then you had fifth place Andrew Jack, 35,000 Nigeria, 54 points. And very, very close in sixth place was Hunter Labrada, USA, 55 points. So, the competition, first and second place, very, very close. And fifth and sixth place, very, very close. 1 point separating fifth and sixth place, and 3 points separating first and second place. So summarize what happened last year, Mobster, and then we'll move
We'll
on to
just take the
preview.
first three there, right? You are talking about a new Mr. Olympia and two previous Mr. Olympias, touching upon what I said earlier on. Also with Hadi and Derek, they're both former 212 athletes. Relatively short at 5'7" for Hadi and 5'6" for Derek, versus Samson, almost but not quite 6 feet tall, which does help. So it's interesting for me that the weight and height restriction at being 212, some of these guys have come up against that and realized they were almost holding themselves back. And then they've become absolute fucking freaks when they've no longer had to make a weight height restriction and been able to absolutely smash it. Martin Fitzwater for me is an interesting individual because to me right now, and we'll get into this when we specifically talk about it, of course, I can't see him as Mr. Olympia right now. He's chilled as fuck. I've seen lots of stuff where the other guys are hungry, dry, doing the whole sort of pre-competition. Oh my God, I'm hanging on by the fucking, skin of my teeth. And Martin's all like, oh, how you doing? Chilled, fucking having a nice time, happy to be here, etc. What he is doing and what is impressive is how much he has transformed his physique the last few years. And it goes back to what I said about resting on your laurels, not being as hungry. Martin is hungry as fuck. There's an argument to be made with Derek. Last year's Mr. Olympia, I watched some of his training videos. And in the gym, quad workouts, feathers, separation, the whole fucking thing going on. On stage, I just didn't see it. And maybe the reason he plays so well was because he'd won the previous Mr. Olympia, because he'd been, a previous champion. Hadi has always had those massive, great rounded delts with no separation. One could argue that's where his sight injects. Strong as fuck. Stronger than the others who arguably in the gym just recently posted up repping 6 plates aside on a deadlift with 4 weeks to go. I think it's a couple of week old video. So, but again, you've got the Nigerian lion with Samson, and Samson, just as an example, and I mentioned this to Stephen at pre-show, there was a video with him, Derek, and someone else, I think 4 champions in total, at an event, and Samson was on another level. And this is something I want to talk about with every single person in the lineup. Social media, including this show, gives us an example of seeing these people individually, Derek included, in the gym, looking absolutely fucking amazing. And then when they're on the stage together, you get to see who the fucking champion is. So the example I'm giving here with Samson he's at this event, I think it was somewhere like South America, Steve, 4 champions, including Derek, lined up, and it was just something fucking off. I think his arms were the biggest there, 23, 24 inches. The others looked like champions, and if there'd been no one else there, they would have blown the audience's mind. But having Samson standing a few feet away, 4 of them together for a group picture, you could see who the champion was. And this was a couple of months ago. So it's again this example of just a silly little thing. I've seen certain training videos and clips with Samson. He's got a couple of guys training with him right now in the gym here in the UK. And the people that he's training look amazing. And then he did a guest posing thing a little while ago. He's able to put, he's nearly 300 pounds in the off season, 330 in fact in the off season. He's just young enough at 39, and his waist was pulled in. He had a partial vacuum. He's doing like a sort of half kneeling, leg out, double biceps thing. And you go, hang on. That looks like a Mr. Olympia. And so sometimes it's that kind of thing. I also think he's kind of just got an edge on the other 2 guys. The height thing always fucking helps.
I was going to ask you about
Unfortunately,
if you pull up pictures of Hadi next to Samson. Samson is taller. He's listed, I believe, 5'10", 5'11",
yeah, yeah,
and Hadi's around 5'7", so about my
yeah.
height. Do you think that they gave Samson an advantage or a disadvantage?
Absolutely. Listen, I've been to
Absolutely
in this.
what? Yes,
I've been to
advantage or no?
I've been to a Grand Prix, Steve, and I've also been to a couple of Mr. Universes here. And let me give you an example. Eddie Elwood was multiple Mr. Universe pro winner, and I went to a competition at Southport, one of the Mr. Universes. The athletes come out, and Eddie had drawn to come out last in the lineup, but they're all just walking onto the stage. Looks absolutely fucking amazing. Eddie comes out 6 foot tall, 20 stones, 280 pounds, wins. and he's just walking out. If you've got the same fucking physique as the other guys and the same quality of the other guys, and you are 3 or 4 inches taller, it is a natural visceral response by the judges to award you first prize. So absolutely, it is a fucking win right there.
So you think if they had been the same height, Hottie would have won?
That's a different conversation. No, but only because I think had his waist has got thicker or is thicker
Mm,
looking for the height that he has versus Samson. If he was
yeah.
proportionately smaller, he would still have that waist. And that V shape, that tiny waist, the flare of the shoulders still gives him that advantage.
And Derek Lunsford, his height, he's only 5'6", so he's like shorter than me. So if it listed 5'6", he's probably like 5'4", 5'5". So
Yeah,
I mean, he's even shorter. So and then Martin Fitzwater is only 5'7". And then
yeah,
you've got Andrew Jack, he's tall. He's over 6 foot.
yes, yeah.
So it is interesting to see the different heights. And we're going to go over on the next couple shows as well when we
Yeah,
really dig
look,
in.
look at Andrew as an example. How many top gurus? I'm thinking Emil Osasif is one example. I've taken a look at Andrew when he was on his way up, when he was training in Dubai with Larry Wills, when he was doing some of those early videos with Larry, and people started to notice him. And again, Larry's got a great physique, immensely strong as a strong man, as a powerlifter, as a bodybuilder. But Andrew was on another fucking level. He just had that aesthetic going on. And top gurus went to Dubai, were getting paid to go there and train people or whatever else. And they were saying, come and look at this guy, come and look at this guy. And they were looking at him going, fuck me, that's a Mr. Olympia, future contender right there. There's a top three possibility of someone who might be Mr. Olympia in the future. And I think that's true. It's got one of those guys because of his height and because of the muscle toyings that again, you can't help it. I've used the example with you before, Steve. If a big fucking wanker like me comes down a dark alleyway towards you and you don't know that it's me, that we're bros and we can bump fists and have a laugh and fuck about whatever else, and it's a bit late, it's raining, you're probably going to step to one side just to be sure. The visceral response of a bigger muscular person on stage is just natural. It draws the eye and so on. That's not how it should be judged, but it's nature. So
So
again,
yeah.
it might be the argument for the bigger guys sometimes is can they get as dry? Can they be as conditioned? Is it easier if you're shorter to get in condition? There's an argument for that, I think.
Yeah. I had a long time ago someone tell me like, Steve, you're a shorter guy. It's a huge advantage. But all the bodybuilders are shorter and stuff. So, but what you just said, you can look at it one way or the other. It can be a disadvantage too in certain situations. So let's preview the 2025 Mr. Olympia now. And look, it's going to take place again in Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, those of you who don't know Las Vegas, it's one of the most popular party cities in America. It's got legalized gambling. You walk into as soon as you get there. There's slot machines in the airport. You go to your hotel. There's gambling. There's a whole floor of gambling. You can gamble on blackjack, poker, slot machines, roulette, any of these games that people like to do. They have some of the best food in America, in Las Vegas. It's well renowned for its famous buffets and being able 24/7, being able to get a steak at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning if you want,
Yeah,
mobster. You can go
yeah,
and
yeah,
get
yeah.
you get lobster, steak, great food.
Some
It's
of the
also
bearing in mind the location, Steve, arguably one of the four best places in America for steak.
and then 24-hour entertainment. So you can 24-hour a day, they got entertainment, something for you to be entertained with. So it's not my type of town. I'm not into the 24-hour thing. I like my sleep at night. I like to go to bed at 10, wake up at 5 or 6 every morning. So
Yeah, yeah.
Vegas wouldn't be a place for me to live. It wouldn't be a place for me to visit. I have no interest in ever going there, but a lot of people like it. Strip clubs, all kinds of stuff. So it is a premier place to have. They recently moved the Raiders to Las Vegas. I don't know if you knew that, Mobster. They also expanded an NHL team to Vegas. So we're seeing sports franchises going to Vegas. What a place to live if you're into the party lifestyle. So it's a great place to have the Mr. Olympia.
Steve, there's some great places to live there if you don't go into town. If you want to live on the outskirts of Las Vegas and this, with the desert and the heat, and some of the properties are amazing, and the gyms are pretty good. But you need not to gamble, and you need to avoid those fucking hotspots. Absolutely. But if you want to play, if you want to party, what's the adage, which is well known worldwide? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So if you want to go
Yeah.
crazy, Vegas is the place to do it.
Oh yeah, I know people that went there and lost their life savings gambling. I know people that went there and cheated on their wives at strip clubs. I know, I have so many stories from people. So it's not a place to go if you don't have any discipline. I'll put it that way because you're probably going to do something you regret. So look, many of the competitors are going to be back to defend, including Samson is going to be back as well. And looking to knock him out will be a very strong field. And we're going to give our opinions on different. The competition will be taking place on October 9 through 12. Recently, Nick Walker made his predictions, and he, of course, picked himself to win it all, which I don't think you agree with, Mobster, but we're going to get into that shortly. He also predicted Samson to finish second, Hottie to finish third. I mean, so pretty much last year they were first and second. Derek to finish fourth. In last year he was third. So basically he leapfrogged himself into first place and knocked everyone else down a peg. So Martin Fitzwater
Mm.
fifth. So he
Yeah,
basically put himself first and knocked everyone else down one spot, really. So it
yeah,
was kind of a
yeah,
hilarious prediction to make. Um, we're seeing a lot of the different predictions. So let's go over the top 10 competitors, Monster, and we're going to give our
yeah,
analysis on each. And
yeah.
then we're going to go over, I want to hear from
So,
you a
some more than
percentage.
others. Yeah,
We're going to
go
talk
on.
about a
Yeah.
percentage chance they have
Yes,
to
yes,
finish
yes,
in the
yes.
top five. So let's start with Brett Wilkin, 36 years old, 250 pounds, 5'9", Legion Pro from 2024. And you pull up a picture of him. I'll tell you something about this guy. He looks absolutely yoked. I mean, he is
Yeah,
huge. He
yeah.
is huge. And
Any
he,
gym in the world, he would be the daddy, quote unquote. Yeah.
oh yeah, if he walks in there in a wife beater,
Yeah.
everyone's just gonna get out of the way.
You're
Like,
going to know that this
yeah,
is a guy that's got a world class physique.
yeah.
Yes.
Hard. I don't know how he fits through doors. Even he is huge. He's got to walk through a door and kind of move to the side.
It's a lot of weight at 5'9", Steve, but
Yeah,
percentage wise, 30% at best. He's not there yet.
yeah. So tell us more about him and give us your prediction on his percentage
Brett,
chance to
Brett
finish
to
top
me
five.
is Brett to me is similar to Martin Fitzwater in that the gains that he's made, and if he comes with more gains again, I might have to fucking choke on these words, Steve. Gains he's made the last few years, the way that he's turned himself into a proper professional and a focused athlete. I would love to have a sit down. He'd be great to have on a show. I think he knows his shit really well, etc., etc. But again, looking amazing on certain stages like the Legion Pro, looking amazing in social media, as lots of these athletes do, and then putting him next to someone like Samson or Haddy or whatever else. No, he's not that there. He's, to me, I've got Brett outside the top five. And percentage wise, again, he might come in there and go, Jesus fucking Christ, he's added 10 or 15 pads. Mobster, you're talking shit. This guy's going to absolutely fucking win it. But unless that happens and he completely blows everybody away, Dorian Yates would be a good example of turning up heavier than last year, scrapes through, wins, and then the next year comes with another 10 or 15 pounds of muscle and blows your fucking mind. Brett would need to do that, I think. But so he's not quite there yet. Again, 30%, mate, of being in the top five.
30%. That's a pretty good chance, though.
Well, it's a good chance because he's
Yeah.
got a great physique. Look, you said this on another show, Steve. Anybody, and it's true of all Mr. Olympias, we can debate from now to doomsday, but the fact of the matter is you talked about the top 20 bodybuilders in the fucking world out of 8 billion people all on one stage. So it's very much a case of opinion and semantics. This guy has a world-class physique, but can he win the Mr. Olympia? No, not this year.
So next guy we're gonna talk about is Samson Duada, of course,
Yeah.
from the United Kingdom, 39 years old, 330 pounds off season,
Mm-hmm.
5 foot
Mm-hmm.
11.
Yep.
Uh, he won it last year, as we've said
Yep.
numerous times. Nigerian
Yep.
background.
Yep.
He is the favorite to win. You know, really, if you look at most people out there, they're
Yep.
predicting him to take it again, which is a really easy, easy guess. And I think
Yep.
he would be the favorite if there were odds on the Mr. Olympia. I mean, we don't
Yes.
condone gambling on
No,
it.
no. But if you and
Um,
I were going to have a bet, I would
yeah.
put 90% chance. 90% chance this guy's going to win.
So you're saying 90% chance he gets
Yeah,
first place.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then,
I'm allowing for him to fuck up. I'm allowing for him not to be in
yeah.
quite in
So it would
shape. I'm
take
allowing to be
something
distracted.
happening for him to
Yeah,
not. And then
yeah.
chance of making top five is probably
Let me give you a
99.9%,
reason
right?
why I think he'll do well this year. I've talked about the comparison picture already. He's got his own gym, which he spent some of his winnings on. He's done certain other promotional things, but having your own gym, that space, it's not quite a dungeon gym like Temple Gym for Dorian, but it's a place with equipment that he's chosen to train in. His wife is still his coach, and for the majority of the year, with the odd distraction here and there, he's spent all that time in that gym doing his shit. He doesn't lift massive weights, but Nick Walker doesn't either. He looks fucking pretty good on his own. And then when he put them in that 4 people lineup that I mentioned earlier on, he blew the other fuckers away. And this includes at least one former Mr Olympia. So in my mind, he's probably going to be this year's winner. We'd have to fuck up, get ill, and do something stupid not to win. Again, people can come in and surprise us on whatever else. That picture that I referred to earlier on, Steve, which was taken at a guest posing 4 or 5 weeks ago and been doing the rounds for the last week or so, I was like, I wasn't seeing it. I wasn't seeing it because I was thinking of the training stuff. He's a bit covered up. And then they've got a couple of poses where he's half kneeling, leg extended, doing a kind of a front double biceps. And I thought, look, tiny waist. He's doing a partial vacuum. He's got well-rounded muscles and he's weeks out. So what's he going to look like when he's fucking dry? And if he comes in dry, this is somebody else. Because again, you're put up against other athletes and it's how they look as well. I don't think Samson's ever been super fucking dry, ripped, dry to the bone, super fibers separated on the chest, on the legs, whatever else. Maybe he can't do that at his height, his weight. If he does, you're all fucked. You're just fucked. If he
So
can do that,
basically, he can walk on stage a month ahead of time and
oh,
win.
he's done that already. That's
So
why I'm saying a month
imagine by
ahead
the
of time,
time it
he looked like
comes,
the winner. He was with
yeah.
a former Mr Olympia, he looked like the
So it would
winner.
take him getting severely
Yeah, he'd have
ill
to be sick
or
or do
some
something
huge
really
mistake,
stupid. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, for
As a
him
few
to
athletes
come.
have done that with dodgy food that they brought locally. They haven't brought stuff with them in the trunk of their car in a cool box, and they've eaten the wrong thing. Literally, there was an athlete posted on our forum, one of our members on the forum, who fucked up. Two athletes when they made two tiny mistakes. One was with their tan and one was with something else. And it just changed their condition enough for them not to move up another position. That's the small differences. And again, this is the Mr Olympia. It is the zenith of the sport. You need to be doing everything perfectly because your competition is. And if you fuck up, your competition steps in and takes your spot. Job done. Steve Haddy, Iranian, 37 years of age, roughly 220 pounds in the off season. Is not huge heavyweight type bodybuilder at 5'7". He Mr Olympia in 2022. I've mentioned earlier on, like Big Ramy back in the day. Absolutely a massive hero to Iranians. There's always been a bodybuilding thing over there, but the last couple of years, as Steve said, with the Middle East coming on gangbusters in terms of sponsorships and TV time and opportunities and so on and so forth. Huge hero to the Iranians. Even with the political situation, he managed to get to America to compete. I believe that's still the case, even with greater restrictions this year than ever before. He certainly seems to think that he's coming to America. He has made a mistake in the past of leaving it too late to arrive, so he was second or third. Last year, he got in, I think the year that he won, he was able to get there ahead of time 4 weeks, and that made a massive difference to be in shape or in condition. Will he win this year? No, I'm sorry. I think again, Samson's that much more dominant. Although it's easier to win if you are a previous winner, I would argue. I'm going to put him in the top. I'm going to have him in our top 5, Steve. If Samson is a given, and then Haddy in the top 5. But it's difficult with one or two of these athletes because we could swap athletes in and out as we go on through this show. What do you think about Haddy?
Yeah, if you look at his picture, it's hard to believe he's 220 in the off season. He looks huge. But like
Yeah.
you said, he's only 5'7", so he holds his muscle very differently. But if you look at I mean, he's absolutely ripped. I mean, he's got eight packs shredded. I think his
Yeah, yeah.
legs are the most impressive to me. If you take a look at his legs that he's been posting lately,
Certain poses he does, if he's most muscular, super separated chest. He has the intercostal, the midsection thing that you're referring to, which is not visible in every pose. I'm going sometimes with like
uh,
Derek, I'm like, yeah, he's a nice, well-rounded physique. And there ain't going to be one pose, and I go, Jesus fuck, that's the reason why he looks the way he looks. That's the reason why he plays as well. I've got him in the top 5. I'm going to say percentage-wise, I'm going to put him ahead of Derek. I'm going to put him a 60 or 70% chance of winning versus, say, Derek, which we'll get to in a minute.
All right. So, and at the end of the day, I think, for sure, I think if he's able to make it to the USA, which I'm pretty sure he will. Money, gets you whatever you want in this world. We know that, especially in America. So I think he'll be able to compete no problem. But I think that at the end of the day, he's not going to beat Samson, but it would be, I don't think it'd be out of the realm for him to finish, second or third
I'll
place.
tell you one more thing about Hadi that I do like, and this is actually going to be kind of beneficial, I think. He's very supportive of other athletes if they beat him.
That's
He will be the
good.
first one to come over and congratulate you. And that sportsmanship is something that the judges notice, even if they don't think to do it. So that helps a lot. You also, he's disabled. He's literally deaf. That's something you don't think about when you're thinking about being a Mr. Olympian and being a great physique, etc. He doesn't speak English, and yet we are placing people from countries that America doesn't get on with as Mr. Olympia. Can't speak English, so what the hell with regards to promotion and sponsorship and so on and so forth, and partially deaf, if not deaf, and yet here we are with a great physique, meaning your physique is everything. So had he and a great sportsman in terms of how he is with other athletes and
Good,
helping people
yeah.
and so on and so forth. I
Good
really
for
like.
him. Yeah, that's good that he's an ambassador to all that other stuff as well. The next guy we're talking about is Derek Lunsford, and Derek, 32 years old, 225 stage at 5'6". He was a Mr. Olympia 2023, the 212, and he was the winner in 2021 212. So, he's definitely had a history with success at the Mr. Olympia prior. And one of the things that's cool about Derek is he just doesn't quit. I mean, he just keeps going and going and going. So he won, the Mr. Olympia Open in 2023. He took down $400,000. And he won it pretty handily. He won it over Hottie by 5 points. Samson actually finished third. He had 28 points in that Mr. Olympia. So Derek, he's got the pedigree and he's got the history. And last year he finished third. I mean, this guy he just
Yeah,
keeps coming and coming. Mobster, talk. Give me your opinion on
yeah.
Derek. He looks
I
fantastic
watched
from his pictures. Yeah.
I watched a video of him, the background type stuff video. So the things that your friends and family are putting together for you, or your photographers putting together for you, while the Mr. Olympia weekend was on, and he was super emotional. He kind of knew that there were certain things he should have done. I believe I think it was Friday night, whatever it is, the prejudging versus the competition. I might be getting that wrong, but he kind of made mistakes there. He got super emotional. Needed to sort of sit down and have time out on his own, laying down on a sofa. He was laying down on a sofa, chilling between prepping and whatever else, and the tans and all this kind of stuff. And then kind of got big upset because, of course, we spent most of the year trying to become the greatest bodybuilder that we have on the planet, and obviously that can be incredibly draining when you fuck up, when you don't succeed, when things don't go according to plan. He's very open about his religion. I'm not going to bang that drum too hard. I don't. There's an argument to be made about talking about religion and using drugs, but that's been done on religious shows, ironically, with regards to Derek. So I don't like that particularly too much. You are training your ass off. It's a very selfish endeavor what we do here. But by the same token, to compare him with Hadi again, there has been times, and I mentioned this earlier, when seeing him training and looking, oh my God, look at that quad separation, look at the feathering, look at the deepness between the depth between the muscle separation, looking absolutely fucking amazing in the gym. And comparing it to previous years, this was 2023 to 2024. He got stronger. He put more weight on the bar, Smith machine squats, benching, pressing, whatever. He'd absolutely got stronger. He's got 2 or 3 guys that he trains with, and his training staff was all like, I think it was middle of COVID, Steve. They had to practically have the gym to themselves in order to train and this kind of thing. So he was getting his shit done. But last year seemed to be one of those things where having a good pec deltoid and having a nice separation between the bicep and tricep, every athlete on fucking stage is going to have that. You can't have any water retention. You need detail. We've just said with Hadi that when he did his most muscular, his chest was like a bundle of fibers. You can see serratus, you can see the intercostals, you can see the abs. and he's kind of got a blocky physique. Derek's got a kind of blocky physique. Certain poses work better than others. There are certain things where other athletes destroy him, but the overall effect is good. He did not have that separation last year that he needed, the detail. Again, he brings that detail, and you're talking about between him and Hadi, for example, then it's a much, much closer competition, a much closer competition. My guess, and this is just my personal opinion, I'm going to put him just slightly behind Hadi. If I say Hadi's a 60 or 70%, I'm going to go 50, 55% Derek. But that's just me thinking about what I think about his physique. Let's move on.
All right, so next guy is Rafael Brandão. We've seen this guy pop in here and there the last few years, and it's a lot of people are wondering when will someone from Brazil take the Mr. Olympia. So he's 32 years old, 255 stage weight, 5'11", 2024 Arnold Classic South America winner. So he does have the pedigree. And pulling up his picture, he really looks really peeled lately, Mobster. Do you think he stands any chance of finishing top five? What's your feelings on his physique, and give us your percentage on him?
I'll tell you why. I'm going to say no, but again, as at 5'11", the same height as Samson, I think as Samson's stage weight's going to be very, very close to 300 pounds, and it's going to be that. You're giving 50 pounds away to the next person who's the same height as you. Improvement like Martin and Brett, absolutely. Pictures of him in social media looking amazing. Any gym in the world, top athlete, top 15, top 20 worldwide, absolutely. Not quite big enough yet. It's going to take another 10 or 15 pounds and the same condition you just talked about to be able to stand as Samson and bring the game and make it interesting. I'm going to put him, unfortunately, as a very close contender for everything outside of the top five, top six. It's going to be a very tight mix just outside the top five, top six, and Raphael's in that mix.
So what's the percentage chance of top five? Zero?
Top 5-0. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Sorry.
think you think 0%?
Yeah. Brazilian listeners will hate me, but I'm going to say no, no chance for the top five.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you said, his physique is just too small. Like you said, I mean, he's giving away
At
almost
five
50
foot
pounds.
11, and
Yeah.
again, if Samson's 330 in the off season, he's going to be 300 off stage. And if he is a similar physique and muscles, etc., Raphael will be giving away 45 fucking pounds.
Yeah, it's just
It's as
what
simple as that.
it is what it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
it's what it
So
is. Yeah.
yeah, we got four more to talk about. Let's go through them. Martin Fitzwater, USA, 20 years old, 265'8". He's pretty big. Fourth at the
Yes.
2024 Mr. Olympia, as we talked about earlier. And he was, pretty, a strong fourth. He was a full
Yeah.
11 points less than Andrew Jack. So could he crack the top five again, Mobster? What do you think on him?
Yes. Top five. He's right there because I'm going to put Nick ahead of him. We'll get to Nick in a moment. Um, yeah, this is one of those ones. It could be my wild card. He's chilled as fuck when everybody else is stressed. He looks amazing when everybody else is starting to get watery because they're stressed. He's made gains. He's super impressive. He's competed reasonably frequently the last 2 years or so when other people were trying to compete less, and so on and so forth. So, and again, fourth, he was that surprise fourth place from last year, and people were suddenly impressed and suddenly drawn to Martin and starting to look at him. It's a real tight grouping. I'm going to put him 50-50 between him and Nick Walker getting into the top five. Nick won't like it, but fuck Nick. Where would I say percentage wise? I think he needs to come up another level again, a little tiny bit, in order to be a top one or two. So I'm going to give him a 50 or 60% chance of placing in the top five.
All right, so talk about Nick Walker a little bit, and then we'll
Yeah,
move
let's
on to the
talk
last
about
three
Nick,
guys.
right? So Nick has been posting a bunch of stuff. I've seen some of this, and I've even seen stupid videos talking about how they lift more in the gym than Nick. Nick has been doing dumbbell bench back in the day with 160s. Nick is the size of a fucking house. He absolutely brings the freak factor. And he is getting more out of his training now with less weights than probably any other athlete. 4, 5, 6 plates on the leg press per side. I warm up with more than that, Steve. But I've got legs nothing like Nick Walker's. And something else he seems to have done. He's had a couple of up and down years where he's pulled out of competitions. There was this going on. My prep coach was shit. I couldn't come to the competition. Me fucking bollocks raking. Whatever. And then the last 12 months, he seems to have brought all the fucking different aspects that are required back together. His waist looks tighter. He looks conditioned. Has looked conditioned really the last 3 or 4 months. Yeah, social media and filters and shit like that. But he's looked like someone that could win a competition with a few weeks' work for the last 4 or 5 months. He's super fucking confident and so on. The factor. Yep. Yeah. So, buddy of mine, Keith Williams, is a bodybuilding trainer, coach, but he's also been a judge at competitions. And I agree with him. The look of Nick's physique is not what you call a Mr. Olympia physique. Doesn't have that sort of small waist aesthetic vibe to it. We've always had freaks in bodybuilding, absolutely. And again, I liked Nick's physique. I've liked freaks. The whole fucking, my God, look at the muscles, look how strong that guy is. Da, 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 da. There's always been a thing for me, absolutely. But I also understand that you need a certain flow and a certain look and vibe or whatever else to be in a Mr. Olympia, to be in the, it's all, you could have 300-pound fucking heavyweight champions who could hit like a fucking cannon, but you still need to be able to move around the ring with, there's a certain look or feel to a Mr. Olympia physique
Yeah.
that Nick
He's
doesn't
almost
quite
too
possess.
big. He's too big for what he
Yeah,
should be, you
I
know?
mean, he's got the whole vascularity, varicose veins thing going on with his calf, which surgery would actually make his skin fucking scarred and be horrendous. So he needs to leave that fuck alone. And that's an ugly look. These are not nice looking veins; they're ugly veins. He's got an almost too thick look to his physique. He's one of those people, and I'll put this up with Nick Zillia, the Brazilian that comes on, and these are the ones that make your skin tingle. They come out on stage at 300 fucking pounds. Nick, for example, close to 300 pounds at 5'7". You go, Jesus Christ, when they walk out. Boom, 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 boom. Come to the front of the stage, do most muscular. My God, what the fuck was that? Take a picture, take a picture. But winning? No, no, no. I like his confidence. I like the fact he's getting more out of the training than he's ever done before with less weight. I like the fact that he's brought his waist down. There's been times when his waist has looked thicker. His body hasn't quite come together. This year, it has come together.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the shock factor that would enable him to place in the top 3, but I think it'd be a mistake on the part of the judges if they gave him first place. In terms of his chance of winning, it's right up there. I'm going to put it up there with Hadi and Derek in terms of, yeah, so it's top 5. Yes, so 100% top 5.
You
In
think he's
terms
going to
of
be top
winning,
500%?
yeah, I think so. I
All
think
right.
it's almost, he will probably be 5th place because if everybody else brings their A game, and he is bringing his A game, I'm not going to dispute that. If everybody else's game is good, then he's top 5. If they don't, if they fuck up, then the freak factor can push him up another couple of places. He's done 3rd place let me have a look here, Steve. 3rd at the 2022.
Yeah. He was
Can he be
5th in
top 3? Yeah.
2021, 3rd in 2022 behind Hadi and Derek. And then in 2023, he had a hamstring injury, he had to withdraw.
Yes.
And in
Yeah.
2024, he had another injury, he had to withdraw.
Some bullshit. Yeah, there was something to do probably with the prep coach and problems, and there might have
Yeah.
been a PED issue going on there, etc. This year he's looking ready. He's looking competitive, etc., etc. He's got the waist down, like I said. Having that huge, freaky muscular vis and a small waist makes it that much more again. The eye will be drawn to him on stage. The confidence. Listen, I've told guys that want to compete. If you have equal physiques, but you walk out like you own that stage, that's where you fucking live, then that is good for the judges to see as well. If you're constantly flexing the whole fucking time you're on stage and the other guys relaxed, you will
Yeah.
win, and so on. So Nick, if he brings that, top 3. As his physique is right now, and everybody else is on the A game, and assuming that they are top 5. So 100% top 5. Chance of winning, No, I'm going to have him best place, maybe he's third. But if everybody else brings their game, he's fifth place.
So we got Akam Williams, Brandon Curry, and William Bonac, and we also have
Hmm.
Vitaly Ugolnikov. So out of
Let me
these,
just touch on Brandon Curry, Steve, former
yeah.
Mr. Olympia.
So which one? Well,
Archer.
let me ask you, which one of these do you think has a chance for top five before we?
Do you know what? I'm going to give you a couple of wild cards here, Steve. So people that only because one he's stepped up. You got Urs, I can't remember his surname. It's just managed to qualify for the Mr. Olympia last weekend. I don't actually like the way his physique looks now compared to when he was a class before,
Mhm.
but that might be something. And I tell you, the other person I've got as a potential wild card from that list, Andrew Jacks, maybe, but he needs to be in the condition. Tony O'Burton might be something for people to look at. Again, these are all people that could, if someone in the top five that we've chosen for the top five fucks up, any of these people can step in, for example. Good veto, looks amazing in photographs. Doesn't quite bring that on fucking stage. Uh, Andrew Jackson, as I just said, tall, 301.6 in the off season, has had real good quality physique in one competition and not quite the same quality physique in another competition. So he's a world class athlete, but a few percent difference has made a difference for physique. So someone that might be worth looking at is Tony O'Burton. And as I say that purely and simply, and Urs, purely and simply because, again, as I mentioned with Martin Fitzwater and Brett Wilkins, etc., earlier on, people, even Akin Williams, people that are moving up are hungry and they're more focused and they're more likely to be doing. Do you do a 16-week? They're doing a 20-week prep. You've only got to fuck up, and there's three fighters that want to step into your shoes. So again, Tonio is one of those that's had a really aesthetic physique, comes in tight. I mentioned Nick Ziller earlier on. He's up there with me with Nick Walker with the freak factor, but not going to be someone that wins the Mr. Olympia. It just won't happen. The last one on our list, Steve, going past Regan Grimes, for example, was Sassan Herati. I'm assuming I'm saying that correctly. Not got a chance in fucking hell of winning the competition. Absolutely a world class physique, world class British national standard. But a Mr. Olympia, no, not a chance in hell. So, again, think of it this way, guys. And the Super Bowl is a good example here. How many people are available to play for each team on the day of the Super Bowl versus how many people actually get onto the field? And there will be a number of athletes on the B team and the C team that want to take your place on the A team. Same thing applies here. What's supposed to happen at the Mystery Olympia is you should be dedicating your whole fucking year training, your whole fucking year, and especially the last 16 or 20 weeks of dieting. You have the same access to PEDs, more or less, as every other fucker on that stage. How driven you are, how focused you are, how dedicated you are, Steve, is the be all and end all. And everybody there should be hungry as fuck. And if you're not, get the fuck off the Mystery Olympia stage and let someone else have a chance because that's where it really, really, you've got to bring your A game here, Steve.
All right, so listen, we're gonna do a couple more episodes on Mr. Olympia. Check them out. They're going to be some really good episodes. Let me just tell you the names of those episodes. It's gonna be our Hardcore 204 and our Hardcore 205. So in 204, we're gonna go over who we think is gonna finish top between fourth and sixth place. And then in the episode Hardcore 205, Evolution.org Hardcore, we're going to talk about who we think is going to finish top three. And we're going to really dive deep into those. And we're going to, and at the end of the day, look, at the end of the day, we're not psychics, but give us your opinions in the, down below and tell us what you think. Tell us if we're right, if we're wrong. Tell us who you think is going to finish top five. We would love to hear from you. So before we finish up, let's talk about Geneza Pharma a little bit. And Geneza Pharma, they're considered one of the top sources in the world. They have fast shipping, fantastic products, and great customer service. Their prices are also fantastic. You will not go wrong with any of their products. And Mobster and I, we've been using Geneza Pharma for many, many years. Many of these athletes that we talked about today, they also take Geneza Pharma, and they have it all. They have anything you need for your cycle, for your PCT. They have dick drugs. They have ancillaries. They have everything you could possibly want. to help you get the body that you deserve and the body that you're looking for. So check them out for sure. Come on the forum, evolutionary.org, and check out Geneza Pharma, how to get Geneza Pharma, where to get Geneza Pharma, and we'll be able to help you. So touch on Geneza Pharma a little bit, Monster, before you take us into the disclaimer.
Yeah, come onto the forums, like Steve said, and check out people that are running Geneza Pharma products. See for yourself the results that some of those athletes are getting, where their training's on point and the diet's on point. The difference has been Geneza Pharma. And it's not just what Steve and I have done, but we could say, listen, guys, we could be biased. You come onto the forum, you put Geneza Pharma into the search engine, and you'll come up and see logs of people that are running their products that include in Geneza Pharma in their stacks, in their PED, for the year, for the competitions, for getting into shape, for beating challenges, for winning prizes. And you can see for yourself the quality of their products. You go onto their website, you can check their products out. And like Steve says, they've got everything you need and more. Listen, guys, when it comes to these Mr. Olympia prediction shows, this is absolutely our opinion. And you can see things that I don't see in a person's physique. You could be more of a fan of someone and see more of what's going on. So when it comes to this stuff, we welcome the debate. We want your opinion. We could be, you might be a Brazilian fanboy and completely think we're the most biased British and American wankers you've ever met in your life. So please come on the comment below, come onto the forums, let us know your thoughts. Tell us we're talking about how and why. Post up pictures of these champions. Post up if we've got the numbers wrong. Should someone else be a top 5 contender? Let us know what you think. Please note, as always, for these shows, we are not doctors and opinions are ours. Is our view based on our experience and views on the topic, and podcasts for informational purposes and entertainment only. The freedom of speech and the First Amendment applies.